I think it's super important for every movie you're excited for to remember that there's also a movie coming out that's on this level of quality. Hello, I am Dr. Rorschach, back again today, and let's talk about the future. Well, the not so distant future, because this is my list of my most anticipated movies of 2019. Just a fair warning, this is not a list of the movies that I think will be the best this year, but movies I'm most excited for. So without further ado, let's get right into this. At number 10, we have Glass. Glass is super weird because it comes out in a few weeks, but I'm still really excited for it. I had mixed feelings about Split. I love James McAvoy's performance in the movie, but I didn't really like the ending aspect of what the Beast ended up being. I just couldn't really get behind that. But I absolutely love Unbreakable and what that story was. So hopefully we find a good middle ground for what these two movies are bringing together to make Glass. I'm also just super excited to see my dad, Samuel Jackson, come back and return as Elijah Price, Mr. Glass in this movie. It's one of his best villain performances. So hopefully Jackson and McAvoy have a great presence when they're on screen together, and they have a real threatening villain team up, because that's what I want to see is Bruce Willis take on these two villains, and if they do, it'll be a great movie. At number 9, we have It Chapter 2. Besides Stanley Kubrick's version of The Shining, 2017's It was the best Stephen King adaptation. And if you think the first It movie version is better, you're nostalgically biased. Like, this is scary.
Mike Hanlon, if you see...
Excuse me, sir. Do you have Prince Albert in a can? You do? Well, you better let the poor guy out.
But yes, It Chapter 1 was a great horror movie, and it was so much fun seeing these kids team up and their banter and the way they all came together to take on the clown known as Pennywise. The movie also had a lot of disturbing imagery in it, which benefited the movie and just how creepy it was to watch it. But yeah, I fully believe that they're going to be able to replicate the magic of the first movie into the second movie, as long as they're getting great performances out of the adult actors, who they actually have a really good cast representing the characters from the first movie. So I think this movie is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really excited for it. It's probably my most anticipated horror movie, besides one other. At number 8, we have Spider-Man Far From Home. My parents think I'm far from home, even though I'm just 35 miles away. I love Spider-Man. I could watch a new Spider-Man movie every year. If Into the Spider-Verse showed me anything, is that there's no such thing as too much Spider-Man.
I want Spider-Man!
Thankfully, this year we're getting the second installment of Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies, and I'm really excited to see that where they're taking him literally across the world to go to Europe on like a field trip or a vacation or something like that. But I'm most excited for this movie for the non-Spider-Man reasons. We have Samuel Jackson taking over the mentor role that was Iron Man in Spider-Man Homecoming, and Sam Jackson is going to be appearing in this movie, as well as Jake Gyllenhaal, an actor who I love, appearing as Mysterio. I feel like Mysterio is probably one of the hardest Spider-Man villains to bring to the live-action movie, so it's going to be really interesting to see how they do this, and I'm really excited to see what they do with the Mysterio character. At number 7, we have Toy Story 4. We don't know too much about Toy Story 4 other than there's a fork in it from the first teaser trailer. But my inner child is excited for this movie. Toy Story 2 was actually the first movie I saw in theaters. And honestly, Toy Story franchise is probably the best animated franchise of all time. However, the third one did have a perfect ending. And Toy Story 4, while I'm excited for it, I can't understand how some people do think it is unnecessary. Because it's not something I was absolutely dying for, even though I am excited for it. I'm more personally worried that if this movie does not end well or isn't received well, then it will ruin the taste of what people have for Toy Story. But it is a Pixar movie, and they've been on a great track record here lately. They did have a dip a couple years ago with movies like Cars 2, but I do think this movie will be good. At number 6, we have Godzilla King of Monsters. I actually cared nothing about Godzilla until I saw 2014's Godzilla, and then I fell in love. I think Godzilla King of Monsters will be the most true Godzilla movie in recent memory, just because of it's not going to have these unknown monsters like 2014 Godzilla has. It's going to have well-known monsters, and hopefully they learn from some of the action mistakes that the first movie made. But my other excitement for this movie also comes from the fact that this movie is going to be setting up 2020's Godzilla vs. King Kong, which is probably one of, if not my most anticipated movie ever right now, just because that's going to be the biggest thing ever. At number 5, we have John Wick 3. I actually have a John Wick 2 poster up in my room, but it's off to the side. But I love John Wick. And I just want to say that if the third John Wick is just as good as the first two, it'll probably be the greatest action trilogy of all time. Terminator almost had it, but they kind of choked on the third movie. So here's hoping John Wick 3 does not. I also like how in the second John Wick it expanded the scope of the movie from the first movie and made the scope wider, and in the third movie it's basically going into the whole world versus John Wick. And I think that I like how they're expanding in each movie, and as long as this movie is good, I really like this trilogy, and I think it's going to be one of the best trilogies. Plus he has 2 dogs in it. Like, you can't go wrong with 2 dogs. The only thing better than 1 dog is 2 dogs. At number 4, we have Us. Us, for those that don't know, is Jordan Peele's second movie that he's making. His first one was Get Out, which is one of, if not my favorite movie of all time, and this is his follow-up second movie. My only concern with that, though, is that I'm afraid Get Out may have set the bar too high for a movie like Us, for Jordan Peele's second movie, but here's hoping it's at least somewhat close, if not just as good, because I believe Jordan Peele has the capability to make a movie just as good. He's a very talented director. I will say the first trailer gave me the absolute creeps. I have never been so scared to see a doppelganger of myself. I've never seen a movie before make me scared of seeing my own self before. At number 3, we have Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yes, I'm that white hipster that loves Tarantino movies. I'm that guy. But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is Quentin Tarantino's 9th movie. He said he's going to stop at 10. And it's going to be about Hollywood in 1969, and will somehow be revolving around the Manson family murders. This movie also has an insane cast in it. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, and even Al Pacino. How is Sam Jackson not in this, though? Like, Tarantino always makes room for him. It's crazy with how big of a cast this is, and he didn't put Samuel Jackson in it. Just minor complaint, though. I do think this movie will be a lot more on the Inglourious Basterds side of Tarantino movies, and if you like Inglourious Basterds, then you're probably going to love this movie, because Inglourious Basterds is the only other semi-historical movie that he made, because he altered history because he kills Hitler in that movie. So we'll see. It'll be absolutely crazy what he does with this movie, and I'm really excited to see what he does and where he takes Hollywood. At number 2, we have Shazam, the better Captain Marvel. Ooh! So, fun fact, Aquaman was my most anticipated movie of 2018, but the day the first trailer for Aquaman dropped, we got our first trailer for Shazam. And I honestly liked the Shazam trailer more at the time than I did the first Aquaman trailer. It looks super fun and hilarious. I know everyone's saying this, but it's Big meets Superman. Like, that's an awesome concept. And to me, I think this will be the most original Origins superhero movie we've gotten in recent memory. Most recent Origins superhero movies, it's just they're from a different place. But this one, it's a kid turning into a superhero. That's awesome. Zachary Levi's also fantastic as Shazam in this movie, and I think he's going to be one of the lead people in turning DC around. And I think Aquaman already got off to the right start, and Shazam's going to kickstart it and making DC more popular. And at number 1, we have Avengers Endgame. Are you really surprised? Avengers Infinity War took the world by storm, not only in its insane box office, but just its cultural impact. Everyone was talking about this movie. Everyone was talking about Thanos, all the heroes. I saw this movie 3 times in theaters. It was probably the biggest social movie of last year. I couldn't imagine waiting 3 years for this movie like we did the second and third Avengers, so I'm glad we're getting this just a year after Avengers 3. But Infinity War left on a cliffhanger, and I'm just dying to see what these heroes do to go and undo the events that were done in Infinity War and to save the world. It's going to be Rocket Raccoon. We all know Rocket Raccoon is going to save everyone because he's the best superhero. And that is my most anticipated movies of 2019. Of course, I want to see all of the live-action Disney remake movies that they're making this year. They're making a lot. And the Star Wars movie this year. But I feel like those are taking a backseat this year for me for all these other movies. But I am still excited to see those movies. As usual, I am Dr. Rorschach. Thank you for watching and have a great day.